And we are off. It is with great pleasure that I get to introduce a lovely friend and a fabulous guy, and his name is Mark Anderson of Gather and Gather. Mark Anderson has 25 years experience in the culinary profession. After training as a chef at Dublin Institute of Technology, the fabulous called Broad Street, he worked in Ireland and internationally across all sectors of the hospitality industry, from high-end and casual restaurants to hotels, event catering, retail sector, and workplace catering. You've been busy, Mark.
That's an impressive. I'd actually employ that.
He joined Gather and Gather, one of the UK's leading workplace catering companies, in 2015 at their first culinary director in Ireland. In that role, he has pushed the boundaries of workplace catering for clients in a multitude of sectors, delivering an offering based on an exceptionally high level of quality, centred on local, seasonal ingredients with health and taste to the fore. In recent years, alongside his leadership role at Gather and Gather Ireland, Mark has been a founding member of the National Advisory Council of Chef Network, where he has been instrumental in building a chef community and promoting positive kitchen culture. He is also a Food on the Edge ambassador and partner. Jeannie Mark, what a beautiful bio.
I'm at the age now where I'm nearly 54, where I need to go and future-proof my life, so I'll write anything.
But it's all based on what you've done, which we have and we are going to enjoy. Tell me, what's our recipe today to start off, and why?
So it's not actually technically my recipe, it's actually my wife's recipe. So I've just taken it and made a chefy over the years.
Ah.
So this is a recipe that we would have done with our kids at home, and we've taught them how to cook. Not because we're amazing parents, just because we knew it would save us money when they went to college and they could cook and wouldn't need as much of us. So this sausage and chorizo casserole started off as something that was whatever was in the fridge.
Yeah.
Became a casserole. It's sometimes cooked in the oven, it's sometimes cooked in a pan, and it's really whatever's in the fridge to get used up.
Versatile, friendly.
Yeah, and super tasty.
Lovely.
And also gets to show off the best of Irish produce.
Ah.
So, which is something I'm really, really passionate about. But I also feel like the company I work for, Gather and Gather, I'm not even in the top 10 chefs in that company. There's so many chefs, much more talented than me. But what I always think food should be is accessible. So I always say to my chefs, you need to park your ego when you're cooking, and you need to cook for people in your audience. So that's whether myself and my wife Alison are cooking for Hannah and Dylan, or whether I'm cooking for 7,000 people on a daily basis.
Yeah.
You need to park your ego, and you need to cook for what people want. So this is where this recipe comes in, and yeah, I love it. It's actually our go-to. My daughter, who's in Aberdeen, finishing her nursing studies, this is one of her favourites. My son, who's back home in Dublin, it's one of his favourites. And when they're all together, we always kind of cook this together.
Yeah. So you're bringing this here to share with all of us.
Yeah.
How lovely. We're now part of your family.
It was also
you get to bring us home as well. Yeah. Your wife is smiling.
Yeah, right. It was also the ideal recipe for the cookery book.
Yes.
Which was the brainchild after Food on the Edge that I had about trying to do something where I could give something back. So, as I said, I can't cure cancer. I can't solve the world's economic problems, but I can try and make some contribution. So I spoke with Kirsten, we came up with this cool idea of putting together a book that would benefit homeless. So every recipe in it, there's recipes from 54 really good people and me, and it's from food producers, growers, bakers, journalists, chefs, and everything was about home.
Yeah.
The dish, what you did, had to be all about home. Had to have loads, didn't have to have many ingredients, couldn't use any fancy thing like tweezers or foams, and had to be what represented home meant to you. So when you sit with your table with those memories, what that meant. So we funded the full cost of the book, the company Gather and Gather. Myself and my MD, Pauline Cox, put all the plans together. And at the last count, we should have somewhere in the region of 45 grand to give back to the trust, which will take 4 families off the streets. So when people say, what do you do? All that fantastic stuff you read earlier on, that means more to me, because I talk about leaving a legacy, and I talk about making an impact no matter what you do. So me being a chef, that's the bit that we did.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you, Mark.
Shall I start cooking?
Yeah, please, get to it.
Right, so my recipes are never recipes. So I just make it up as I go along. So there's a recipe and there's loads of questions. So the sausage and chorizo casserole is just something really comforting. It's like a hug in a bowl. So I'm going to put it up at the end if you want to grab a little bit of something to taste, work away. So we start off by cooking our pasta. For a dish like this, I always use something like orzo. It's nice and small. It thickens up the actual casserole itself, but I always cook it in advance. but I cook it to a stage where the pasta is going to finish cooking in the sauce later on. So I don't cook it really, really too. So about 7 minutes. So if anybody wants to time that for me.
Who's in charge?
Now. Again, don't get too hung up on weights and measures unless you're doing something with pastry, because I think food should be fun and about experimenting. And when you make it one day, like I said with this dish, it's changed so many times. Food should be really, really experimental. It should be, oh, I did that the last time and I wasn't really mad keen on that, so I'm going to substitute or change it. There's too many chefs I know that are very, very protective of their recipes and very, very protective of how you do things.
There's immense fear,
yeah,
which is
but
such
also
a pity.
keep saying to them, you're only cooking.
Yeah.
It's not rocket science. And there is no right and a wrong way. There's just a way to do it what works for you.
Yeah.
So we start with that. So we have our water here boiling. I use a little bit of salt. I used to put oil in the water till I listened to JP McMahon yesterday, who said he never puts oil in his water, so I don't put oil in the water now from today. But he actually said something yesterday that made me think, if you're cooking pasta and you put oil into your water, that's okay if you're making a cream sauce, because it'll work with the cream sauce. If you do it with a tomato sauce, the oil will actually seep into the tomato sauce, can make it a little bit greasy. Never knew that. So there you go. I'm 20 odd years cooking, you learn something every day. So we're going to let that cook away for a couple of minutes.
I think that's a really good point what you made there, Mark. You learn something new every day in the world of food, and it is a joy to be in that space, isn't it?
This is the best job in the world. And I mean that. I'm not just saying that. It is the best job in the world. I've traveled the world. I've had an amazing experiences. I've met incredible people. I've been very lucky that I've never been out of work. So it's really, really cool. My wife does payroll, and does payroll for about 7 or 10 international payrolls, and that would wreck my head. So I can't do that. So we all have what we want to do, but I just love what I do. I love cooking food, but I also love working with people. Yeah. So that's why I love so much. So we're going to start with the other pan. I like cooking stuff in one pot, because I don't like washing up.
Whose job in your house is it to do the washing up? If you cook it,
My wife.
I saw the eyes go immediately. That's a good team. I like this.
So in the other pot here, we have a little bit of rapeseed oil.
From next door? The guys
These
are
are
here?
guys next door in Donegal. I buy this at home, or I buy this one or two, but I absolutely love this one. It's really, really nice. It's very subtle. I always tell by the colour how good it's going to be. So it's not full of impurities or anything like that. So we start with that. Get the oil nice and hot. And then we're going to brown off our sausages. We have some lovely local Irish pork sausages here. They've got some herbs and spices through it as well. Working about 2 or 3 per portion.
And are we cooking those through fully, Mark, or is it
No, we're going to brown them now. We just want to get a bit of colour on them first to start, because then we're going to put them back in and going to cook them in the sauce.
Lovely.
And again, sometimes as well, I just use normal sausages, or sometimes, I dice them up. Other times, like, I can even use this, if I don't have pasta at home, I use it with a baked potato. It's lovely. It's also actually lovely if you cook that and let it cool and serve it on a crostini as a nice little starter, or a nice little warm, then just warm it up when you're doing a nice little, especially at summertime, if you want to do something like a starter and you're doing a barbecue. And sometimes, when you're doing a barbecue, everybody's waiting for the food. Yeah. You can have that ready sitting there, nice, not overly hot, and then just have their sausage and the chorizo all cut up nice and small. Some nice little crostini breads or sourdough you've toasted off, and you can put that out with some cheese and some mozzarella or burrata across the top, and people get nicely munching away, a nice glass of Rioja. So I love the tips and versatility of food dishes. It doesn't have to be what we tell you it must be. Be creative and have fun. Food should be enjoyable. Yeah. I get lots of people say to me I can't cook, which I find everybody can cook. Yeah. It's just to the level you want to cook to. Do
you want it hotter or lower? Are you okay?
No, I'm okay there. So we just want to get a bit of colour on them, because the colour will also add some texture, and that give you that kind of charred effect on the sausages when you're cooking. It's really important though with this dish is you use good, decent quality sausages, not ones that have lots of water that are going to spit out all of you, or too much fat content, which will make it really greasy, and kind of you can feel that on your palate. So you should really, really, really try to source out as much in the way of good produce as possible. I'm a firm believer that good food shouldn't be cheap.
Yeah, and you can use less. So choosing a different hero ingredient. So if you're going to spend a little bit more on an ingredient, it doesn't have to be the hero ingredient in the dish. You can put it to the side and bring something up to make it a little bit cheaper, more manageable.
Yeah, well, the sausages,
Cost-effective.
sausages as the protein in this isn't the most expensive protein you could use.
Yeah.
So why would you not spend a little bit more? And I understand everybody's situation is difficult and different, so I get that. But I do also know that most people that when they go for a pint at night, they might give out about the price of the pint, they still buy it. I just have a firm belief good food shouldn't be cheap.
Yeah.
I always find it interesting, and I think shows like this are great because the public get to see food. If your boiler breaks at home, you ring up a plumber, and he'll come out and have a look at it, and you go, that's going to cost you 800 quid,
Yeah.
and I'll have to get the part from Germany. But because very few of us are plumbers,
Yeah.
we'll go, okay, and give it to them. But everybody is an expert when it comes to food because they watch all the programs or they come to fantastic things like this. So everybody has an opinion of food, which is great, but not everybody understands the cost of food.
Yeah.
So what it costs to get those fantastic sausages from the farm, from the pork to here, or the amount of heartache a grower has to go through to get those carrots out of the ground. So I think when we get that appreciation and understanding of food, maybe we put a proper value on food.
Agreed.
I think as a country like we are, we have an amazing food story and food culture. We need to respect it a little bit more and understand it a little bit more. So that's why I always think good food shouldn't be cheap, but it should be accessible.
Yeah.
So they're nice, they're getting a nice little colour on them.
And so, Mark, to say that that ethos runs from your home through the business, would that be fair to say?
Yeah.
That's what Gather and Gather, that's why it makes sense that you're there.
Yeah, it does completely. I'm very lucky I work with a company that really matches the values and principles I have around food.
Yeah.
So we feed some of the top tech companies in Dublin, and we feed lots of law firms and do all their workplace catering. We also do the likes of Airfield Estate, the Boathouse of Farmlee, lots of kind of event spaces. We ordered in the RDS,
Yeah.
where we do all the horse show and all the private catering. So I have fantastic people that work with me,
Yeah.
and we all have the same approach.
Yes.
Good food shouldn't be cheap, should be accessible. We talk about being plant-led, how we can reduce the size of the really good ethically sourced meat and find meat that's better quality. We try work with people like the fantastic guys outside supplying the gas here for today.
Yeah, MyGug.
Yeah, like the guys
Yes.
in MyGug. They're trying something very different.
Yeah.
That if you'd have said maybe, 5 years ago, someone would have said, you're mad.
Yeah.
But that's how things happen.
Yeah.
So we just take the same approach to food. See, it's going to keep you.
Yoo-hoo!
You can throw me your number now. I'll have a job for you on Tuesday in town.
Do you want me to drain that for you, Mark?
Yes, please.
Fab. If you pop it there, I'll take it away straight away.
Super. So we have the sausages there. They're nicely brown. I don't want them too brown. I don't want them getting too caramelized because then you'll get that kind of bitter taste in your mouth. It's also with sausages and a lot of our products, you don't have to cook the bejesus out of them like most people do. I get phone calls from a lot of my aunts every Christmas about turkey and how long should I cook it for. If I put it on 8 o'clock this morning, will it be ready for 3 o'clock? So it makes me laugh. Anyway, so we're going to use the same pan with the same oil because that's got lots of flavours from the sausages in it. And then I have some beautiful Gubbeen chorizo. So Gubbeen locally down here, a stunning product, lovely and smoky and full of flavour. I'm going to lower the heat down and I'm going to add this in first.
Fingal is probably rocking around there actually from Gubbeen. They're such a great family, West Cork, and their products are just wonderful.
Yeah. So you can smell the smokiness and everything else coming off this already. You can't go wrong with chorizo. This is also good with, just even as if you're taking something like this, you finish this even with some cream and some pesto as well with pasta. It's just stunning. So what I want to do is I want the natural fats and the natural oils into chorizo to actually work their way into the pan. So they're going to give it that real richness and that real Spanishy kind of Mediterranean when you're all away on holidays and you're sitting with a rioja and everything just tastes so much better because it's the sun, just like today. But that's going to give you all that smokiness and that, it's fantastic. And that real depth of flavour. So but we don't want to overcook that because again, that will scorch and become bitter. So we have that. Then what really goes well with sausages? Fennel. So I've got some lovely fennel seeds. Just going to add them in.
Gorge.
Some garlic. I don't always crush garlic because I find it a pain in the arse. to chop. So I actually like cutting it really, really fine. And it's actually, do you know what? I actually seen that in the movie Goodfellas years ago. And ever since then, I just think that's the only way garlic should be done. So really, really wait for thin because it will kind of reduce itself down. And garlic, if you cook it that way, it actually releases its own sweetness and its own perfume. It doesn't become overly bitter. Again, this is my interpretation. This is how I like to cook. It works for me. It works for what we do. I'm sure there's some Spanish and Italian people would look at me horrifically about how I do certain things. But, you know, that's the beauty of food, isn't it?
Yeah.
The truth. So, again, come over and smell that, Tracy.
Oh, go on, smell-o-vision. Yeah, yeah, that's really good.
So, it's like I said in the book, it's like a warm hug. And I think, you know, we all have our challenges when our kids are young about they won't eat things. I used to find that, especially my daughter was brilliant at this. If we got them involved, so on Sundays they would peel the potatoes and peel the veg. If we got them involved, they had a real appreciation then. And they seen the work that went into it. So they kind of bought into it. And then we included them in what we're going to make today and how we're going to do it. And tell them that you can't have chicken nuggets. They start coming up with some of the ideas themselves. I don't get this where people say to me, my daughter or my son just won't eat this and won't eat that.
Yeah.
You're the adult.
We're
getting that away.
Very lucky to have Michelle Darmody here yesterday morning.
Super.
And that sensory piece through education with children brings them on that journey. What you've just said, bringing them and getting them involved is the difference required for them to enjoy it more. Yeah.
When you're cooking, it's all about layering. So timing is key. It's when to know when to put in the ingredients. So we put in some onions, so we want to get them a little bit sweet with the chorizo. Let them work away. We're going to add some celery because that's a hard veg. You always start with your harder veg at the start. Tracy, you should do these with me more often. This is so handy. And we've got some carrots as well, diced up nice and small. So the whole idea is they'll cook out.
I'm loving all the different layers and the colours in that pot. Our camera there shows everything, Mark, so it's lovely. You're bringing everyone on the journey with you. And then this one here is the YouTube channel. Come back up. Yeah.
Jack, I'll be a YouTube sensation soon. And again, some of the herbs like rosemary, which again is a harder herb than the likes of basil and all that, put them in at the start as well. So you want them to kind of layer the flavours up. I also suggest that you cook this in batches. Make a big, big batch. It freezes so well. One of the other little things I add in is smoked paprika. Oh. So it adds a little bit of heat, but it also adds a little bit more real smokiness to the dish.
Fabulous, Mark. Really complements the chorizo as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. So you can see, stupidly simple this dish, but you know, I've done this so many times for so many different people, and I don't think I've had a situation where anybody wasn't madly keen on it. I don't season at this stage. Because the sausages and the chorizo have a kind of natural saltiness, I don't season. Because I'll do that at the end when I see how the chorizo has reacted and the tomato and everything else, so it's not overly salty, because there's not much you can do when you get to that stage. Now, little tip, sherry vinegar. What a product. That stuff is gold. That's the one from Jerez Valdepeño. I'm not pronouncing it right. You could probably. Sorry. I do have a certain image to hold. But you can explain. Sherry vinegar. It's so versatile, yeah?
Do you want to come up? I'll give you a microphone.
And save me talking for a minute.
I'm actually going to a sherry tasting on Monday.
Oh, love it.
With Antonia from O'Brien.
Introduce to make sure they know who you are.
So sherry is a wine from the south of Spain, and it's made with it's a fortified wine made with alcohol. So they add brandy to the wine, and it keeps really well. So when you buy this vinegar, there's components there that could be 20-year-old wine. So it adds this beautiful complexity, and that's like a key ingredient in Spanish cooking. And it's just, you could drink it, it's very healthy. But anyway, this brand, Valdespino, is a very, very famous sherry bodega. I don't know if anybody's been to Jerez, but beautiful, like the wineries look like cathedrals. They're beautiful. And The second buyer at
One either side.
O'Brien's
Cheers, darling.
she's half Irish, half Spanish, and she's doing a sherry tasting on Monday. So they've just got new wines there. So very exciting.
I love the complexity of it.
Yeah.
It's both sweet and it's about kind of that acidic bit to it as well. So rather, I use wine as well, but the sherry vinegar I think deglazes the pan, works with the natural kind of spices, the chorizo and the smokiness, and it's just really, really good. So we're going to deglaze that a small bit.
Jade and Theo are just going to hand out a glass, and it's just for you to really embrace what's in that glass. So get your nostrils into it.
So now we have the veg cooking away nicely, and we have the chorizo nearly cooked all the way there. So we're going to now put together the sauce for this. So we put in the sherry vinegar. We're going to let that bubble away and kind of reduce down. As I reduce that down, there's more of the flavour of the sherry vinegar will come in, and it will add the layers of flavour. It's like when you're doing salads at home. When you're dressing a salad at home, I always dress it in layers. It's not like if you're getting, coleslaw's a little bit different. If you're doing like a roasted aubergine salad with some yogurt dressing and tahini and everything else, I dress it and I build in layers. Because when you eat and you put your knife or your fork through your spoon in, you should be able to take every bit of layer and get all the seasoning, all that through. Too often we get a salad, throw mayonnaise into it, mix it all up, put it in a bowl, and there you go. And then we leave it in the fridge, and you can't taste the So I always kind of let mine come back up to room temperature. But I dress it in layers, so as I'm layering up the aubergine, then the dressing, layer up the aubergine dressing, add in the leaves, add in the herbs. It's such a much nicer eating experience. So that's what we're kind of doing here. We're trying to add some complex layers into it. I'm also going to throw in just a splash of white wine. This is quite a dry wine. I don't have a problem that I drink wine out of a beaker.
Can I say, so I'm fortunate enough to have gone to Food on the Edge a few times, and I will say, as much as I look forward to Food on the Edge, I equally look forward to lunch. Mark, what the heck? And the appreciation and what you said there, vegetables are at the forefront. That texture, flavour, seasonal piece that you guys bring to life is really, really wonderful.
Yeah, so Food on the Edge kind of blew me away. It's like a TED Talks for chefs.
Yeah.
15 minutes. Some of the best chefs in the world go to Galway the last 2 years, 3 years. They've been up in Dublin and Airfield. And they talk about not just chefs, people who write books, people who publish books, people who source, people who bake, people who grow, and they talk about the future of food. I was very lucky years ago to actually speak at it and do 15 minutes on kitchen culture and how we changed what we did years ago in our kitchens and how we approach things. But you're sitting up there and there could be a 3-star Michelin, a 2-star Michelin, best chef in America, best chef in Ireland. So it's pretty intimidating. So
there's room for everyone.
We got asked to do lunch for them a couple of times. So I sat with my chef team and I said, there's no way we're going to outcook these guys. So we'll just do what we do, using the best of Irish, and see how it goes. And we've had massive success. The guys love it. They love the fact that they come here and that it's just good, wholesome food done well. It's the best of Irish. So yeah, it's really good. So going to add a little bit of stock in now. Dead handy having this down here because you can go and buy the products.
Yeah. The chicken stock from the cookery school is incredible. That broth brings it back to life.
And the chicken stock will lighten it up as well. We're going to add some. I actually love this brand Muti for passata and for tomatoes and for paste, and if you're doing stuff at home. I think it's not the cheapest, but it's definitely not the most expensive, but their flavouring and the tomatoes and the quality in it is excellent. So I use that all the time. We're going to throw a tin in there.
Cheers, my dear. Do you want that washed out or anything? Do you need
just
it?
A little bit,
yeah.
So I'll throw the rest of it in.
A little bit of water.
You can use passata, you can use whole tomatoes like here, you can use chopped tomatoes. Don't buy the ones with the herbs in it as well because, yeah, you should be just buying tomatoes. You don't really want to buy anything else that kind of is in it. You can add all that to yourself. That doesn't look too bad. Any questions? Yeah. Sorry? Not at all. I use stock cubes all the time at home. I haven't got time to make stock at home, or if I can buy a good stock, I will. So we've got 2 dogs. And we now buy chickens to cook for the dogs, and we use the bones sometimes to make stock ourselves. So we roast 2 whole chickens on a Saturday, Sunday. They get the chicken off it. We use the bones and some of the carcass to make the stock sometime. And we have that, but that's not every week. We're also both very busy working parents, so I buy some of the, the cubes, the jelly ones. They're perfect.
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem with it. If you've got loads of vegetable peelings, or if you've got loads of veg left over, make a vegetable stock. You don't always have to be a meat stock. A vegetable stock that you can make and freeze it in ice cubes. So you make a pot of stock, reduce it down as far as you can, let it cool down, ladle it into ice cubes and freeze it. Then you're just popping out an ice cube as you need of stock. Only came up with that.
Yeah. William Murray, just on before, what he has is a Ziploc bag in the freezer, and he keeps topping it up until it fills up, and then he'll make his stock. But again, it's that mindful piece when it comes to food, Mark, isn't it? It's so important.
I think people's, not fear, but people's are probably afraid that I have to buy all these ingredients.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
All these ingredients to cook a Sunday lunch. When we cook our chickens, again for the dogs, it's like, okay, we'll do Caesar salad tomorrow. Or do you know what? We might do a nice chicken coronation wrap for something on Monday. So we've got something left over there. It's very hard to cook for 2, but you shouldn't really be cooking for 2. Cook for 10 and keep some of it during the week. That saves you a fortune.
Yeah.
I got back. We were talking about this driving down yesterday, myself and Alison, about my grandparents. They never shopped every week. They shopped every day or 2. They went to the local grocer and bought what they need. And they learned to use everything that they needed because they didn't have the choice or they didn't have the variety there. So I really would encourage us. Another way, again, maybe kids might find this a little bit different, but you could also tell them they're baked beans. The likes of cannellini beans, they're a great way of adding fibre, extra protein. They're a great way of stretching the dish as well. That's great flavour, and they're very, very filling. So again, I added some of them in, cooked already. You can buy them in already cooked. I would still suggest that. Again, you can see I don't measure anything.
But you do have a recipe which we will share.
Yeah.
Yes.
See, when people ask me recipes, I go,
So you're so comfortable.
yeah. So again, now look at that. That also as well, it's something like, see when you come home from work on a Monday, especially in the winter, and you don't know what to cook, that's quite easy. That sits in the fridge for 2 or 3 days, no problem. So we're going to let that cook a little bit more. The orzo pasta as well is then going to add some more depth to it as well. So I'm on this buzz of you don't always have to have potatoes with everything. So I'm trying to find different ways of getting more veg and protein. Tracie, you're playing the blinder.
Dude, I'm Drina Allen trained. I've no choice. 10 years in the company of Drina, Rory and Rachel on stage with them means that it's a very happy space for me to be. So it's my pleasure to be here with you.
Any other questions? Because I'm going to run out of things to say. So.
The book, we're having book signings later, aren't
Yeah,
we?
3 o'clock, I'm signing books.
Yeah.
Every book that we sell, every bit of profit, not even profit, everything that we sell on it goes straight back to the trust. I suppose it's something that's really, really personal to me. I actually honestly believe you're probably 3 paychecks away from being homeless yourself.
Wow.
It's my own view.
Wow.
In a world that we live in with mortgages and everything else and everybody's expectations, you're about 3 paychecks away. So people that say to me, oh, they probably deserve it because they've got X, Y, and Z as a problem, that's bullshit. Nobody knows everybody's situation. I live in Wicklow, but I work in Dublin every day, and some of the things I see in the morning going in because I'm in town early in the morning would break your heart. So the book is really, really personal to me. It's the only way I could make a difference. I'm really proud of what myself, the company Gather and Gather, Pauline, and everybody that contributed to it, and people like Kirsten who made my dream become a reality, who helped publish it and put it all together. The book means an awful lot to us. It'll be something that when I'm gone with people who are still there. But the big thing about the book is it's incredibly accessible. It's a beautiful coffee table book. We've sold quite a few. We've quite a few more to sell. But it's a lovely gift. But what I wanted with the book was I wanted it to be a charity book, and without being disrespectful to anybody else, I wanted it to be a book that people would want to read and want to use. So hence we came up with it. It was a project just after COVID, and the guys in the trust are blown away with it. Because it's also, it's a sense of home. And we're very lucky, I'm sure most of you, when you go home at night, you sit with your family, and you give out because they're on their phones and everything else, but they're still in your house. Or you have whatever it may be, whatever challenges we're all going through in life, you still have a home, hopefully, that you're going back to. Imagine that was taken away from you for whatever reason. So that's why we did the book. The book means an awful lot to us. Very proud of it, but also the people that are in it. It's like a who's who of Irish food.
Nice.
And me.
Of course. Tell us a few of your contributors in the book.
Oh, you've caught me now. JP's in it. Jess is in it.
Nice. Both here today, actually both doing different lunches on either side of the property.
Most of Kirsten's book contributors or bookers are in it. Graham's in it from the Cupcake Bloke. Who else have we got? Darina's in it, yeah. God, JR's in it. Listen, it's really, really good. Roasted peppers, buy them, keep them in your fridge in jars. There's some fancy ones that you can get in some of the department stores which are yellow and red, then there's ones in tins. Either one do. Before you do though, try them and see. Some of them are quite sweet, some of them are quite bitter. Some are in oil, some are in brine. I like the ones in oil because they keep a bit longer, but the ones in brine, if you can get a decent brand as well, they're a little bit saltier. So again, like I was saying earlier on about seasoning, I usually season most dishes as I go along with something like this because there's lots of kind of deep flavours in it. We wait a little bit more. So we got a little bit of roast pepper in.
We're hustling out the back, Mark. Mark very kindly brought us a few things to taste, so we're doing a bit of a hustle, and we're going to try and get those out for you now, and we can talk about those in a moment. As I keep saying, that back team is amazing. And Mark, we have two of Myrtle Allen's great-grandchildren working here all weekend, and I would be lost without them. And to say that food and hospitality is in their veins is an understatement.
I think, do you know what? I think when you come to somewhere like here and you meet the teams and you meet the people that help out, they just put you at ease.
Yeah.
And it means that you can kind of enjoy the thing yourself as you're walking around. I'm very lucky that I've got to know Darina. Not very, very well, but I know her well enough over the last few years that when I say Irish food royalty, I don't actually, I'm not over egging it. What they've done to put Irish food on the map is incredible. And it's a testament when you look at the amount of people who came to be here this weekend and what they do.
Yeah. Nicely said, Mark.
So we're going to put the, where did I put the, we've got all the stock on. Oh,
you want the stock?
We're going to add a little bit more stock just at the end, just to take it. So we put the sausages back in now to finish cooking. Does it look like the picture in the book? Right.
Make sure to have a taste.
You can chop the sausage up if your kids are small as well. You can chop the sausage up and put it back into it. Or if you want to really show off the really good sausages that you have, you can leave them whole like that. Normally, if I was at home, we would put that into an oven and let it cook out, and you get a lovely kind of crust across the top, which is going to finish it up here today.
Love it. These are going to be for our stew, so when we chop up that sausage, we'll do tastings.
Cool.
And then, so Mark, can you tell me, this is the fabulous Van. Can we have a round of applause? I've been working with Yvonne for the last 3 years, and she is a rock. So what does Yvonne have in her hands?
So we have some of my chefs, Ross and Dan, who work for me in 2 of our contracts, they go foraging quite a bit. So they gave me 2 bags of different kind of, one is an iced tea and one is a lemonade. And it's just served over sparkling water. So
thanks, Yvonne.
This is ingredients they want them foraged in around Wicklow up in the forest and everything else. They make syrups out of it. We do this in our workplace quite a bit, where we've taken plastic out of all of our snacking stations and we produce all these little drinks ourselves. It could be a kombucha, it could be an iced tea, it could be a lemonade, it could be a strawberry press. We then, in the seasons when the strawberries are there, we'll get as much as we can in, and then we would kind of ferment or pickle, and we'll make juices out of them as well that we do. I vacuum pack them. They're great over Christmas to use in cocktails. And when you can freeze them, then you can serve them with some gin or non-alcoholic gin, whatever your preference is. Yeah, so they're gorgeous. So Dan and Ross put them together for me. And they said, make sure you put them out or else they wouldn't be in work tomorrow.
Well, it's live on camera. We
How's
have
that?
succeeded. Tick. Is it good? Nice. I think they deserve more. Do we have, let's
Use
see what
it all.
else we have.
I'm not bringing that back.
Thanks, Mark.
You must taste always. I've got tasting spoons at home where I just continuously taste everything. You must taste. You need to know what your food tastes like. You need to know, does it need a little bit more salt just to bring it all together, or some pepper? It's really, really vital. after you put all the effort in, then you taste. You should know what your food tastes like, what it needs. As you taste more and as you start to get comfortable cooking more, and I'm not trying to be condescending here because I'm sure everybody cooks on a daily basis, but as you cook more, you will get more and more of an educated palate that you'll know what works and what doesn't work.
Mark, you know the way we can't all access the food that you do. Where can we find you then outside of those?
Airfield Estate,
Yeah,
the Boathouse of Farmley,
okay,
the RDS, we have a couple of cafes there as well.
nice.
We do all the food at the horse show and all the corporate. We are also in UCD. We run the main student restaurant in UCD, so I'm on a mission to change how food is done in education. We've done that for the last couple of years very successfully. And
Tell me what you mean by that, if you don't mind. Do we have a minute? What does
yeah, I
that
do.
mean?
I mean, cooking in colleges and all that is usually challenging because it's quite commercial.
Yeah,
And students and everybody will tell you that they want to eat healthy and all like that. The reality is they don't.
yes,
So it's how you do that, and you do it in such a way that you both educate them, nourish them, but also give them stuff that sells and works. So we'll come together with some ideas, some concepts about how we can do that in the main student restaurant in there, and what else we can do. Can we work with some recognised people and brands that can help us in that journey as well?
lovely.
Um,
So
this sounds
feed the brains.
yeah,
Yeah,
this sounds really kind of, again, condescending, and I don't mean it to be because I'm only a chef. But I say to all my guys, we're very much food educators. Our job is very much about educating food, and I'll give you an example. I get someone going to college in UCD, and they eat in our main restaurant, and we feed them there. So say it's a Thai green curry or a lasagna or a sausage and chorizo casserole. Then they finish college and they go to one of the firms that we work with tech, law, retail, whatever, and we feed them there. And then at weekends they might go to the RDS or they go to Airfield with their partners' families, and we feed them there. And then they might go to a game in Leinster, rugby or whatever, I suppose you say that down here, and we feed them there in the RDS. So all of those touch points, we have an impact on people. So we have a role and responsibility to make sure that when we're feeding people, it's A, with the best ingredient that we can afford and source. It's cooked with passion and care. And that we hope that they may go, when they go to shops at the weekend, they might make a better decision about what sausage they buy, where their greens come from, or what they're putting into their dish. So it is only that we're cooking, but it is quite serious. That's just about ready.
gorgeous.
I have some lovely fresh fennel out of my own garden, and some fresh lemon thyme I'm just going to finish it with. And some gorgeous rocket that I forgot and got last night from one of you guys.
From
Brie.
Ivan's garden, actually.
Was it?
Yeah, Ivan and Theo.
So I love using fresh herbs. I don't always chop them overly fine because then I think they just go to nothing and people don't realise you've used fresh herbs.
Yeah,
So we've got some lovely fresh parsley, Italian parsley. Not a fan of the curly because I think it doesn't taste of anything. And then we've got some rocket and some fresh fennel.
beautiful. Final taste. And then we shall share. We shall bring
Yeah.
people together. So book signings at 3 p.m. for this wonderful book.
Thank you. Yeah, 3 p.m. I'll be inside. If everybody wants to buy 20 books each, that's not a problem.
And Mark, there was a couple of people asked where to get your hands on this. So a really good food hall. I'm trying to think where those.
I actually bought that in the shop in Ballymaloe last night.
Fantastic.
Um,
oh, lovely. There was a couple of people wanting. Yeah.
I tend to buy a lot of my produce in small kind of artisan food
Yeah.
farms because it always seems to work for me.
Love it. Thank you.
I actually bought a bowl there next door yesterday because I think this is like a very family style dish. Neve next door makes this. This is the most incredible bowl. I just thought it was stunning.
It is.
So I'm going to plate it up in this.
Gorge.
Any final questions?
Any questions for Mark?
How did you get away with doing this?
They're looking hungry. That's good news.
So again, we're going to layer it. Some of the sausages in.
Smells amazing. Getting a bit of height. Love height in food. We didn't talk about Chef Network, actually.
Yeah.
Chef Network and kitchen culture. And so you brought it into work, and Chef Network has their own kitchen culture charter, which is outstanding. So it makes sense. Did you bring that through?
Yeah, so Chef Network we were fed up seeing all the bad press about the hospitality. Yeah, we know we've got issues and we've got stuff to address and we need to fix. But there's also lots of really good stuff. Like, this is the best job in the world, I said earlier on.
Yeah.
And like, I've had longevity in it, so like, it's not easy, but most of the great things that you want to do in life are easy. So myself and a couple of other people came together and we set up Chef Network about trying to project the positive sides, but also tackling some of the challenges that we have. And we came up with a charter, which we kind of hold ourselves accountable by, which we also hold any of the companies or any of the businesses that partner up with, or any of the chefs. So we came up with this whole charter about what we think food should be in a kitchen and what a kitchen should be. And it was all around respect, it was all around mentoring, it was all around development, it was all about inclusivity and diversion, and it's worked really, really well.
It's a brilliant training tool.
Yeah. I'm going to just add a little bit of the rapeseed oil just across. Just add a little bit of luxury.
And for the younger generations of chefs coming through, to have the likes of Chef Network there for support is so incredible.
Do you know what? If you're working in a kitchen where you're not respected, you're not involved in the day-to-day, you're not encouraged to develop.
You're not seen.
And you're not seen and you're not being treated, leave. Walk out, leave within the next day, because there are so many great kitchens out there that would be glad to have you.
Yes.
So you don't have to put up with it.
Yeah.
So that's what I would always say.
Zero tolerance.
There's also a little bit of parsley. My wife prefers parsley shavings. I like the
Parmesan.
Yeah. And then just a bit of rocket across the top. And there you go.
Stunning.
Sausage and chorizo casserole.
Mark Anderson, thank you so much. Oh, you do that. Oh, God, I wasn't ready for you.
Any questions? No. Any
Love
questions
it.
at all? Who wants to try some?
We have some tastings. We will do our best.
We will do the small people first, because they're the future of food.
Yes, nicely said.